And the major shift here to be pointed out is that imams are no more private function, with no more private function. It's nowadays, and it's starting little by little, to be a public one. It means that the imam is a functionary within the Moroccan state. He has a wage at the end of the month, and he has charges, and we'll explain to you later on how it's going on. So, and the Moroccan government had two types of actions, where we can call a mid-term and a long-term actions. So, the establishment of the foundation of Mohammed VI for social work for religious personnel, and the creation of a healthcare for religious staff, and finally, reformation of, I mentioned, the Quranic schools, because they are trying to bring the teachers and the scholars from Quranic schools from the community status to an official one, to a public one, so that they can be functionaries in the Moroccan state. And the long-term actions, in 2004, the ministry was dealing with social problems such as the one of the shanty towns from where the bombers came. So we have also a social policy accompanying the security and religious reforms. In 2009, the government started enhancing the capacity building of the middle classes to control cities supporting Islamist parties and groups. So some Moroccan observers noticed that some cities are shifting Islamists. So how to deal with that or against that? How to prevent these cities, the big cities, to be, I would not say occupied, but mainly controlled by Islamist groups, is to enhance, and this is a good sociological interpretation for the Islamist phenomena, which is that the shift of some social classes from traditional legitimacy to a social protestation and religious protestation. But my opinion is that it's too soon now to measure the political impact of the middle class strategy on religious behaviors. It just started last year. So, general statement. I can say that since 1956, mainly after the independence of Morocco, the Crown has chosen liberalism as a philosophical reference in the economy by introducing the free market, and also in politics by introducing or adopting the multilateralism parties, and in law by enhancing democratic constitutionalism, and finally in culture by recognizing the diversity of the Moroccan population and cultures. But this policy was not applied to religion under the reign of Hassan II. King Mohammed VI, when he arrived on the crown, is committed to making a shift to an Islam of enlightenment. What does that mean? It means that Moroccan culture and traditions are making Morocco an open society. A society is open to otherness, to others, to foreigners, and mainly in the religious field is expressed by the fact of there are many religious minorities, the Jews, Moroccan Jews, Christians established in Morocco, and some Hindu and some other religions and believers. So, but the specificity of Morocco is that the Moroccan culture is a mixture culture. It's not one culture. You have many cultures. And this diversity is giving to Morocco a certain immunization against what we can call the homogenization of the Moroccan society. Moroccan society cannot be shaped by one ideology, on one religion, on one culture. There have to be all these in the same time. And this diversity is preventing Morocco from being, for example, much more radical than what is going on in, let's say, in Egypt or in Pakistan or in Afghanistan also. So my conclusion is about the efficiency of the Sufi policy. I would say that Sufi policy of the actual ministry is not reasonable because it's increasing religious tensions. The implication of this is that modernization or modernizing Morocco requires the fulfillment of the secularist logic initiated by the head of state related to the privatization of Islam, which is the only condition to pacify religious conflicts. I personally, not as a citizen, but as a sociologist, I really am concerned about introducing Sufism into politics, because what we are trying to do now is to duplicate the same error we did in the 70s and the 80s by bringing some Islamists to counterpart the secularist movements and Marxist movements and revolutionary movements that were stronger in Morocco in the 60s and 70s. The result, you know it, I think, is not. So now we are doing the opposite of what we did in the 60s and 70s. We are bringing some Sufism to oppose them to radical Islam. But, who knows? Sufism that are pacifists today may turn activists tomorrow. And so my opinion is that to have a modern state in Morocco, it's to do what all modern states are doing or did in the past, which is the separation between religion and politics, and to declare that religion is a private concern. And of course, with respect of what the head of Moroccan state is doing, saying that I have two functions, religious one and political one, and I have some duties to either enhance religious legitimacy or identity of Moroccan society and population. But on the other hand, I have to declare that the privatization of religion is the only way to step forward to a modern state in Morocco. So special thanks to Kate Saley. Thank you for really giving me the opportunity to express my mind here in the Middle East Institute, and to my research assistant, Vanessa Panaligan, who is not here now because he has some engagements in Georgetown University. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmadi. No, stay here. We'll open the floor to questions. First of all, it's just wonderful having somebody from the region come and talk to us about, reform. Too often we hear from people here in Washington, so this is very valuable research. Tell me a little bit more about the policy of introducing Sufism. Clearly, you think it's dangerous. It's repeating the mistake that the Moroccan government made, as you just said, in the 60s and 70s, introducing Islam to counter secularism. But what is a better? You said. What is a better counter to Islamism besides just separation of sort of church and state, mosque and state, when political Islam is so strong and so appealing?
I would say that in Morocco, political Islam is not that stronger because we have the function of the religious function of the commander of faithful. So this is another immunity that Moroccan society is having now, and also an opportunity of recognizing the legitimacy of the Moroccan king. But when we argue, when we discuss, and when we protest, we're not protesting on a religious level of denying the king his religious legitimacy, except two groups, which is Al-Adl wal-Ihsan, who is not recognizing the legitimacy of Moroccan king, and some tiny radical Salafist jihadists in Morocco, which is not really that big deal in comparison with Saudi Arabia. So now we know that we have this deal with the monarchy. So we are giving you the priority of of religion.